Our digital world lets us do some pretty amazing things. We can create, share, and connect in ways that were unimaginable just a short time ago. But all that power, it comes with a responsibility to be good citizens online. So the big question is, how do we actually do that? Let's dive in and figure it out together. Good holy. Welcome to our lecture on computer ethics. Today, we're going to get into the principles that really guide us as we navigate this digital world that we're all a part of every single day. Think about it. In the real world, we have laws and just, social rules for how to behave. Well, we need the exact same thing online. And this isn't just about staying out of trouble. It's about actively working together to build a digital community that's safer, more respectful, and just plain better for everyone. So where do we even begin? Well, a great place to start is by looking at a professional code of ethics. You can think of it as a rule book, a shared agreement on what's right and wrong for a specific group. Doctors have them, lawyers have them, and in the tech world, this idea is crucial, not just for the programmers, but for everyone who has a hand in building our digital tools. And here's the thing, having a code like this helps everybody. For the professionals, it's a compass for when they face tricky ethical choices. And it raises the bar for the entire industry. But what's really, really important is what it does for the rest of us. It builds trust. We have to be able to trust that the technology we use every single day is being built and managed with our best interests at heart. Okay, so to make this feel a little less abstract, let's look at a really classic framework from the Computer Ethics Institute. They came up with a simple, super memorable guide that they call the 10 Commandments of Computer Ethics. Let's walk through them. The first 5 are pretty much digital versions of rules we learned as kids, right? Thou shalt not use a computer to harm other people. That's the absolute foundation for fighting things like cyberbullying. Thou shalt not interfere with other people's computer work. That's just about basic respect for what others are doing. And of course, not snooping, not stealing, and not spreading lies. These are timeless ideas that now apply to everything from our DMs to our public posts. Now, the next 5 get a little more specific to the digital world. They're about things like intellectual property, actually paying for the software you use and not just taking someone else's creative work. They also cover using resources properly, like not hopping on someone's network without permission. But I really want you to look at number 9. Thou shalt think about the social consequences of the program you write. Wow, that is a massive responsibility for anyone creating tech. And really, all 10 of these boil down to that last one. Just use computers with consideration and respect. Okay, so those rules seem pretty simple, right? But actually applying them can get complicated. And that's because the digital world has these unique challenges. A philosopher named James Moore called it the invisibility factor, because so much of what a computer does is completely hidden from our view. And this gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? What really makes computer ethics so different? Why can't we just use the same old rules? Well, the answer is all about what we can't see. So Moore broke this down into 3 types of invisibility. First, there's invisible abuse, where a harmful action is literally hidden inside the computer code. Second, invisible programming values. This means a programmer's own biases can get baked right into the software without them even realizing it. And third, you have invisible complex calculations. These are algorithms that are so complicated, we can't possibly check the math ourselves. We just have to trust that they're working correctly. A really famous example of invisible abuse is this. Imagine a programmer writes a tiny piece of code that shaves a fraction of a penny off every single bank transaction and puts it into their own account. It's so small that no single person would ever notice. But add up thousands of transactions, and it becomes a huge crime. It's the kind of abuse that's only possible because the whole process is completely hidden. All right, let's bring this all the way back home. How does this stuff apply to something we do every day, like scrolling through social media? Because these ethical choices, they're not just for the coders, they're for all of us. Here's a super practical example, posting photos. If you snap a picture of a celebrity walking down the street, that's generally seen as okay. But what if you post a picture of your classmates sleeping in the library without their permission? That's crossing a line, right? It's a huge invasion of their privacy, and it completely goes against that core idea of showing consideration and respect. And this right here might be the most important takeaway of all. Digital ethics is not just for the people building the apps and the hardware. Every single time we post something, share an article, leave a comment, or even just click like, we are making a choice. We are all building this digital world together. There's this thought, inspired by James Moore, that really puts it all into perspective. He said, the computer is basically a universal tool. Its only real limits are the limits of our own imagination and creativity. What we decide to build with it, the world we shape, it's just a reflection of our own values. So, I'll leave you with this to think about. Whether you're designing the next big thing or just sharing a meme with your friends, you are a participant. So, what is our personal responsibility? What is your responsibility in making sure the digital world we're all building together is one we actually want to live in?